I hear from creators all the time that they want to create an online course, but they find the whole process overwhelming. That's why we're following along with Walter for every step of his journey. We're going to show you the low points, the high points, and everything in between, from idea to launch.
I'm Walter Chen. I'm a small business owner here in New York City.
Tell me about the ideas that you're noodling on.
Yeah.
The next step at this point is to take the ideas that you're gravitating towards and go try to validate them.
I should probably do a course on content for agencies.
I think you're ready to write a sales page. You mentioned having an aha moment. I would love to hear more about what was that aha moment? Really put us in the space there.
Just logged into Podia for first time in a bit and figuring my way around and excited to put this course together.
Feeling excited. It looks really actually super easy to use. What I need to do is upload files for all this stuff, move them around, write copy for all of it. Maybe that's something I could get done today. So if I could write the sales letter, kind of put placeholder stuff for everything, and then start cranking out content. All right, let's do this.
I'm getting to the point where I have to sit down and actually create content for this course. And as of right now, I have 4 days left, so it's kind of scary. I start to get pretty self-conscious about what I'm doing, and then I might start procrastinating more so than I already have. So I think I just need to push it out there and then start cranking away at the content. I need to get started soon because I want to ask some people to do interviews and participate. Let's do this.
You know, on my side, as I'm looking through the footage and stuff, I'm looking at the timestamps on the footage that I have, and there's a gap between, September 2019 and January 2020. And so on my end, I'm like, oh man, what happened? What were you feeling and experiencing during that gap?
I think the thing that it reminded me most of is school, which was the thing I hated the most in the world, which was you have an exam coming up, and it's coming, it's looming, you keep putting off doing it, and then eventually you're supposed to do it, but instead you ask the professor to push it back 2 weeks, and then you do that again multiple times until eventually you actually get it done. This is so sad and pathetic sounding, but it was the kind of thing where it's there were two things in my life that were bothering me, and this was one of them. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing where before I went to sleep, I'd be oh my God, I gotta do the Podia, I gotta record my course, One of the big reasons why it was so hard for me to do it is because I was fearful, but at the same time too, I wanted to do something that was good.
Going into this process, you probably planned on doing some video work. You knew you were going to be on camera. What was that like for you, and kind of how did you overcome the discomfort you had with being on camera?
I did harbor this sort of feeling that maybe I am actually awesome on camera. You know what I mean? I had this thought in the back of my head that maybe I'm amazing and but at the same, it's this sort of superiority, inferiority complex, going at the same time. The idea was to be sort of a forcing function to, make me actually kind of get in front of the camera, see what happens, etc. And throughout I had, Len was there supporting me. My wife would make fun of me because I was, holding a phone up to my face and talking into it, which is really weird. But Len told me to do it, so that was my excuse. That's kind of how, how I kind of made it work for me, but I'm still, pretty uncomfortable. So,
talking specifically about making the videos and the documentation for your course, what were some of the reasons you felt uncomfortable about maybe getting on camera? Was there anything about creating the documentation that you felt kind of intimidated or challenged by, and why or why not?
The thing that grounded me was this idea that I had chosen this topic because I felt like I could create something valuable that people would benefit from, in part because I was an expert in this topic and I had had this experience, in it. So that was kind of the thing that grounded me, that I tried to keep going back to. It might not be the best produced video, I might be not best on camera, but I feel good that there's good stuff in here. One of my biggest fears was the idea that someone would watch it and be that was a huge waste of time. At the end of the day, nobody asked for their money back, which I consider to be a win. So yeah, that was kind of how I kind of tried to grapple with and deal with what was probably the biggest fear I had.
What equipment or tools did you already have? And then did you need to get any additional equipment in order to produce the content for the course?
In terms of tools, I kept it pretty light. I had I think I just used my webcam, and I had a podcast mic that I was actually using for another project. I think probably the biggest production, benefit was having a, better audio, which you can, because whether you're watching the screen at all times or not, like I feel like the audio is actually even more important. So it came out pretty well because of the podcast mic.
Ahead of time, did you think, okay, I'm going to do this in takes and then edit it together, or were you more focused on, I'm going to try to do it all in one take? Did you do any editing in post or anything like that?
I felt that if I tried to add production value, it would be distracting, because it would be clear that my attempts to add production value were sad, and sucked. I went in with the concept that I will record it in a single take, and because any attempt to edit it would make it really jarring, because then I feel like I would have to go much harder in that direction, which I wasn't prepared or had the resources to do. I would do it all in one take, and if the take sucked, I would just re-record it all in one take. I think I was talking to my friend Chris Savage, who's the founder and CEO of Wistia. He told me just simple production value, keep it super simple, because if I went in with too hard of a concept, I just wouldn't get it done. And I feel like at bare minimum, I had to get it done. So that was my focus.
Tell me about the process of adding that content to the course in your Podia storefront. How is that for you?
Podia was super easy to use. It was nice to sort of start seeing the course come together as I uploaded videos. And I think I sketched out the outline first in Podia, so that I felt like, start to like look professional, and sort of started to look real. In my mind, like, okay, this is what people are learning, and this is how it section to section connects, and then when upload the worksheet, I would see like, oh, it's kind of coming together. That was really gratifying, and I think that was part of kind of what you're saying, which is like, oh yeah, you do the first couple, and you start to see, oh, like I'm actually not just like recording a bunch of videos, I'm like putting together a course. I think that was rewarding, and that's when I started to kind of feel like, okay, this product is coming together.
What are some things that you learned in the content creation process for this first course that you are going to apply the next time you make a course?
I think the process, that we went through really worked. I think the process of thinking about the customer and thinking about, who's this for, and, why will they find it valuable, all of that, thinking about that up front, so making sure that you're creating something that's useful for people, I think was incredibly important. One of the big things I would want to layer on is working with an editor who can kind of tighten everything up, and so that there's more value delivered, per second. Editing is probably the biggest thing I would do differently, and then there are, in general, a lot of things you could do with making the production value better.
It sounds like, just the way that you said it, you would work with an editor to have them edit your video after the fact. Is there a reason that you went there, like doing it as a collaborative effort versus maybe learning some of those skills and doing it yourself?
I think that's a really good question. I feel like it all comes back to this idea of making it easy to ship. If I were like, oh, okay, well, before I create a second course, I have to learn how to become an editor, then I'm never going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because becoming an editor is, a serious job. I think that's the main thing. It's like, I'm imagining what's the most efficient way to create course 2, and it would be, I think, to create another giant dump of information, but have someone work with someone to go through it and tighten it up, and then maybe come back to me and be like, oh, can you re-record XYZ, but focus on this point, and then I would do that. Just making it easy to execute on, and then also kind of acknowledging the areas where I think I can help the process, and areas where I kind of want to work with someone who knows what they're doing.
So I've got one last question for you. Tell me about the time that you set aside specifically for filming and putting together the documentation, the articles. Was that something that you did over a certain period of time, or did you just try to knock it out all in one day?
Len had this really beautiful process laid out, and actually working through that with Len was really, really helpful. But then actually doing it was almost impossible. You know what I mean? It was like the kind of thing where it was just like the hardest thing to do. I couldn't do it, and I continued to procrastinate. And this is the way my mind works. It's like the only way I can do it is if like I absolutely have to do it. And Len scheduled a video shoot in New York, and it was meant to happen after the course was launched. So I was like, okay, well, at the very latest, it has to be done by the time he shows up. Otherwise, it's like, people are spending thousands of dollars to, come up here to film this, and it's not done. I actually went to Len and I was like, I don't think I can get this done. Let's reschedule. So we rescheduled, and then it got pushed back to December, and then it got pushed back to January. Finally, the date was set sometime in January, and I was like, it has to get done. And even that weekend, I said, okay, I'll do it this weekend. But then Friday, I didn't do it. Saturday, I didn't do it. So then it's Sunday, it came Sunday, and then I had to do it. When I started to get a few videos in, I was like, okay, this is going to get done. So that was my very painful and tortured process. And for whatever reason, it felt like the most painful thing in the world. I mean, this is first world problems, but it's like, I was like, I can't do this, kind of thing. But it got done.
Well, man, I'm really enjoying working on this project, and it was great to get to talk to you today. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, and I really appreciate all the work you're putting in.
All right, man. Well, thanks again, and I will talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. See you, man. Bye.
All right, it's getting down to crunch time. I just hit refresh and got my first email sign up from someone who I've never met. So yeah, I just hit refresh in Podia and someone else's name came up besides mine. So that was pretty cool. Feeling good. Let's see how this turns out. Hopefully, I'm gonna make it very clear. Yeah, it's like if you're not happy, there'll be a full refund.
What should I do or say anything before I hit send?
Make a wish.
No, I'm good.
All right, then let's hit send.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's launch.
I'm hitting send now.
Send now.
Launch this thing.
Let's do it.